what I'm trying to do is create a big comic called Temujin. Well, it all started off when I was conceptualizing what I wanted to do for the project. I started looking at historical figures and thinking about what had happened in their lives for them to be the people that we know. And one of the stories and people that had stood out to me the most was Genghis Khan's, because it was something that I knew very little of. And so the more that I researched it, and I really researched it, the more awesome he was to me. I just knew that he was just this badass leader who had conquered all these lands, and that's cool and all, but then you don't realize how cool that is when you learn more about that person. And so that became my comic, was Temujin's life. And now that I've realized all of this, I did all the concept work, and I did all of the pages in the preview comic telling about one of his stories in his childhood. Now I want to get all this published, and that's when I need you guys right now, is for this to happen, for it to be in everybody's hands and to be a tangible thing. Even since his birth, everyone knew that he would become a great leader. When he was born, there was a blood cut in his fist, and in Mongolian history, that's the sign that the boy will later become a great leader. When his mother was pregnant, there were signs that around her that had happened, that the boy that she was going to give birth to was going to be a very important person in their history. And just things like that is what really interested me in the project. And when I researched more about when he was a child, I always thought from like prejudgment that his father was, going to be like the biggest influence in his life as a child, and he wanted to be like his father. But then I learned that around 8 or 9, his father was killed, and his mother was the influence in his life. His mother was a really strong woman and taught him, even at his young age, about the politics of Mongolia and the history of their people and how a leader should really be. All of this that I've worked on here so far is just the development for the later story. And one of the important things that I've worked on is the preview comic for everything. Just a sneak peek of what is to come in the telling of Genghis Khan. Doing this project, I put a lot of heart and soul into the research, which is so rich, like nothing that I've ever learned of before from Temujin. And there's just nothing I want more than just to illustrate all of that and just do this great comic project about how awesome Genghis Khan was at his time. And this is just the one thing I really want to get out there with this. It's just, even like this is hardly anything that Temujin has ever done, and I just want to keep working on that with your guys' help, just really make it a big thing. Genghis Khan's first kill was his own half-brother over fish, which sounds very trivial, but when you really look at the details of it, it was fish that would have fed his family. He, at the time, was banished from his tribe, and they did all they could to just survive as a family unit. And one of his half-brothers had decided to just take all the hunt that they had gotten, and so Temujin decided at that moment that it was just not worth the risk of having that half-brother around if the half-brother was going to eat everything. He has to feed himself, he has to feed his family. It's important, so.
Seems like a pretty violent moment in a child's history, right?
Yeah, but I think ever since his father's death, I noticed that he had changed. He was no longer a child at that moment. He learned exactly how his father died. He was poisoned. There's no sugarcoating that. And Temujin realized he had to grow up right then and there. He was the man in the house and helping his mother do everything he can to support the family. So that meant cutting out the bad. He had to do that. He killed his half-brother. A lot of this is just everything that I've worked on and developed with this project. I mean, you got the character sketches here, some of the finalized art that went into the pages, full pages here, I mean, you guys are getting every little bit of this story. You're not just getting the comic itself, but you're getting everything that's been developed, that's worked up to this final project. I've put everything that I could put into this project. It's almost been consuming of every day. Is every morning I wake up thinking about how much I want to get done on this project. And I hope you guys can see how much I've worked on this. And with your help, you guys can get every little bit of this.